So it's now time to start this session. From here on, we're going to talk about computer vision, current conditions and possibilities for service handling. Computer vision is actually evolving quite rapidly. It's a very exciting area. And so that attraction or excitement is what we would like to convey to you. I will be serving as the moderator as well as the panelist. My name is Yamato Okamoto of LINE. My name is Doi. I am from Yahoo, Japan. I will be serving as the panelist. And my name is Kose. I am from ZOZO, and I will be another panelist. Okay, so we would like to start with the panel discussion with the three of us. But before that, first of all, who are we? In other words, we would like to introduce what sort of R&D we are doing. So we would like to introduce ourselves. And I would like to get started. I am Okamoto, Yamato Okamoto from LINE Corporation. Actually, it was last July when Computer Vision Lab was established at LINE, and I had the good fortune to join LINE at the same time as the establishment of Computer Vision Lab, and I am a founding member of the lab. And since I was a student, I found this interesting, and however, is it really useful? Maybe not. We were not there yet, so I wanted to make it useful, and that is the motivation for me to engage in this research work. So what do we do? The OCR technology is one of the main services that we have. The OCR provided by LINE is called Clover OCR. As you can see, it's a wrinkled up paper, or maybe soy sauce has soiled the paper, but still the characters or the letters can be recognized and read. So very highly accurate and highly evaluated for that high performance. Clover OCR was adopted by the National Diet Library last fiscal year for a project to convert a large volume or book data into text data. And I wanted to make something that is truly useful. And so it shouldn't be just a reading text, but as structured data as an output would be more useful, I thought. So reading the text, but also understanding the meaning is another function that we have developed. For your reference, this is is it a technology that we have developed in only 1 year? No. We were engaged in R&D with Naver for some time, and we are working together still with Naver in this R&D. And let me introduce the current services as well as the future work, what we plan on doing. DX, digital transformation, will be advanced further, and then there is a possibility of tricking AI by falsifying documents. So there's a possible risk. So we are going to prevent that or protect against that. This is one example of a contract that might be falsified, but using Clover OCR, of course, it handles invoice and others or receipts. And this is just a contract as an example, as one type of document that could be falsified. And also recently, AI generating illustration or pictures have been reported in the news. And so generative model is what we are working on. In other words, generating something using AI. For example, AI can generate handwritten font types. And if you go further, what we would like to realize is, for example, you have a keyword that is input, and then an artwork can be put out as an output with that keyword at the center. So we would like to develop such a model going forward. I look forward to the discussion today. Thank you.
My name is Kenji Doi from Yahoo, Japan. Very pleased to meet you. I am working on technology development in the area of image recognition in collaboration with various in-house services such as similar image search and OCR. So today I would like to talk about the CV-related technologies at Yahoo, Japan. So first of all, as you can see, this is the image recognition related technology, and you can see Yahoo Japan Shopping and Yahoo Japan Browser. And when you are looking at the products, you can have similar image search with this function. So in order for us to do so, there are a lot of element technologies, and what I am working on especially is image search model learning data set development for future feature vectors. And also we have a lot of data set for learning, and also we have latest technology verification. This is another example. And here is an advertisement images, and we are using OCR. So we have long been using image processing to categorize ad images for ad screening work. And to improve that, not only image data, we are using OCR, and also we have text data acquired from the image at the time of the categorization for the inference of the category. So rather than using only images, we can improve the accuracy of categorization. In addition, using ordinary OCR often does not work well with ad images. So Yahoo Japan has developed an in-house learning system as well, and we are using this learning data to improve precision of the recognition. So next is about two experiments we are doing here. Another one is here. You can change the color of the product, and the left side is the original color. This is blue, and we would like to make it red or green, and you can change the color as much as you want, and you can put any color, and you can change the color using this manipulation. And why are we using it? When you search for a color, for example, blue parka is what you want, but you want yellow as well. And you want to change the query color as well. And also, to learn models, you would like to have a set of different colors. So this is why we are developing this model. And we are using GAN-based for color transition. But right now we are using diffusion model-based approach we have developed. And you can see beautifully the colors change. So this is the research I'm working on as well. And another one, together with ebook Japan, we are doing this research to search similar manga for recommendations and different applications. And you can see two manga here. And this is a query to search similar manga. You can see from left to right, this is the similar data, and you can see the same atmosphere. So when you use only ordinary similarity recognition, usually you get the same author's works. But this is different, and this is another unique one. The atmosphere is very similar. You can see it. But we are using CV technology, and other than this one, I'd like to talk a lot about this. Thank you very much.
Okay, once again, I am Kose from ZOZO. Computer vision background is what you have, but actually I have been engaged in or studying natural language processing, and through ups and downs I joined ZOZO, and I started being involved in computer vision. And so what I engaged myself in was similar image search, that was image recognition technology, and for the sake of development, pipeline development is another thing. And also team running is also, or team management is my responsibility as well. An overlap with what Yahoo Japan has already explained, but we have similar item retrieval that we used at ZOZO as well. You see the blouse with the flowery pattern, and let's say the person wants to find something similar in image, and then you can click on this similar image search, and then you can look at similar blouses, not just the color or the style, but also the size and other elements that are similar. But when you just think of image search, you might think that there are different technologies available, but on the back side of this, that's unique to ZOZO, is how we develop our data. ZOZO Town and Air are the two services that we provide. And so EC service is provided by ZOZO, and Where is more about coordination. In other words, the user having or actually taking photos of their outfit and uploading that. And the Where coordination actually not just adds pictures onto the site, but also add some additional information as to what the person is wearing. The user himself or herself can actually add that information. Maybe the same product item or the shirt or whatever from different angles could be uploaded as separate photos. And if you want to do this in merchandise images, if you can flip through the images of ZOZO products, you would understand. You have this overview of the item and then the details, close-up of the details. And so for learning purposes, to be able to judge whether two things are similar or not, maybe the quality level may not be optimum. So I think this is something that is useful in that regard. And I mentioned image retrieval, but on the back end, there is this feature, learning, and also the object as the fashion item is actually looked at as objectives, and that technology is used for other purposes as well. For example, item mapping is what we are showing here, and the user is uploading or posting a coordinated outfit picture, and actually we can tie that photo to what merchandise of ZOZO it is. But actually searching and finding the right item that the person is wearing is a little cumbersome. It's a little difficult. Then maybe the motivation of attaching such information as to what item he or she is wearing might not be so high. He or she may not be motivated to do that. So maybe we can then propose, is this what you're wearing, like the one in the right box with the red dotted line? Is this what you're wearing? We can ask the user. And so when somebody wants to buy clothing for the upcoming spring or summer, and then he might find a good coordination, but then he wants to look at coordination with that item being worn, and then hopefully he or she can access ZOZO Town site. So far I have been looking at the application for image search, but a somewhat different retrieval is outfit retrieval by hairstyle. Not just coordination being searched, but not just outfit or clothing. Maybe especially for women, hairdo or hairstyles would be the starting point, and she might want to look for some outfit that suits that hairstyle. And of course, the user might attach a tag, and then hairstyles can be searched accordingly. But from the image, hairstyles can be then shown in different proposals. And ponytail, for example, if the person is facing straight forward, then the back ponytail part, the hair wouldn't show. So we're using other technologies to show other profiles, for example, not just straight, looking straight forward, but from the side. And I just wanted to introduce to you what is similar. Okay, thank you very much. So just by listening to what you have just shared with us, I'd like to ask you more questions, but this is supposed to be a panel discussion. So let's follow the theme here. And so there are a few topics here. So what are we going to see here? Okay, what services were difficult to implement is the first question. And I think you look a little grim. Maybe something came to your mind already. So maybe I can get started. Earlier, I talked about this data processing for the National Diet Library. We use OCR and data processing after that. It should be all that we have to do. But once you get started, there are old books, and some old books have older kanji or character styles. How should we process them was one question. And 250 million pages, can we process them? It's going to take too much time, too long. And so high performance OCR is within our hands. However, in order to shorten the time needed by 0.1 seconds or so, we will compare different technologies in order to expedite, and import UJSON might be better than another technology for output files and so forth. So that was one of the difficulties that we have faced, and that was really a big problem. I'm sure, Mr. Doi, you have such experiences as well. Yes. Of the things I was involved in, the retrieval of images or search for images is one area. Depending on the category, you have to think about the color in some cases. And so learning data on a per color basis was needed. We had internal data, but that was accordingly, it was on a per merchandise basis. In other words, they were not sorted by color. So we had to start by developing that database, first of all. And I introduced to you the model earlier, but to realize that we needed to look into prior technologies for such models, and also diffusion models and other new models were tried, and we were able to finally, make it possible for the model to go through the learning process. So we're making improvements there now. What about you? Well, yes, this is about, well, it's not really about the model development per se. However, the similar image search or the image retrieval itself by ZOZO, I think, is something that was really computer vision oriented. It was one of the first for ZOZO to get involved in that. And development started 4 or 5 years ago, and the actual development took off 3 years ago. But there were no precedents, so it was difficult to figure out how to go about this. And we're talking about fashion and retail. And they had to, well, similarity, what does similar mean was one question we had to answer. And maybe indicators that are used for other tasks for evaluation was referenced, but it was actually difficult to really convince people that this is what we mean by similarity. So qualitative as well as quantitative. Okay, so we had to figure that out. And when we actually do this, maybe this is not necessarily similar. Some people said we thought it was similar, but others didn't think that it was similar. So the details were maybe not similar in other people's views.
So this is a very typical one for machine learning. We didn't have complete flow. That was very hard. We have one idea for improvement. Rather than that, development first, a series of development, and you have to prepare for that. And that is the image, I believe. Yes. Yes, this is initial hardship when we start. So as I listened to Mr. Doi, what I thought was computer vision up to a very near past, it was very specific, and now we have deep learning. The modelings are for design, and you said data was very hard. You want a cool modeling, or rather, how to design data to reduce time and burden of data engineering. And that's very important. But have you had some experience that you are only working on data? Yes, a time to prepare data is really big, but we split with the other colleagues. So in terms of my own personal time, my burden is really reducing. So for development of models and also improving of models, I take more time. That is good. Among ourselves, we have data designers for learning. So what kind of data should be learned by AI? We have a special team, so they are helping us a lot. And unless we have such a team, from the morning till night, I have to prepare data, the same data. It's going to be very hard. So, but what do you think? I now recall in the initial stage, I think we had such kind of hardship as well. So the very first task for you, for example, request for annotation, there is something you have to do. But what kind of data we have to look into it. And even though we don't have such a big data, we have to do it. Yes, we have a special team, and we many times ask them to do it. But you might directly work on the data. So how you have to split your duties, and it's not, there is no best answer. For example, data for evaluations, everyone who is involved in services should be involved as well, so that we have to prepare data thoroughly. Because if you can't evaluate data, you cannot improve the models. And also learning data, we can use automation, and sometimes we take on the challenge. Yes, evaluation data and verification data, for example, similarity or not, and you think it's similar, but actually it's not similar. Yes. I don't quite remember how we solved that issue, but we have added category for image search. Recently, we did it as well. So for qualitative analysis, we have team members to evaluate. We prepare for that. And we design how to verify with everyone. Yes. So maybe I am the only one who is not doing well, and I look at the others and everyone looks very elegant, but I now know everyone is struggling. Thank you very much. So let's go to the second topic. This is topic number 2. Isn't it difficult to adapt to what the users need? Yes, it is. So now, Mr. Doi, could you please start? Going back to the same thing, image search. When you use image search for example, fashions, for example, your tops, or for household appliances, the expectation of the users should be different. We were talking about this internally. And for outfit, for example, rather than exactly the same outfit, you want slightly different ones. But for household appliances, you can get the same appliances or you can get a similar one. So per category, the user expectation should be different. And how you can give the exact answer that users might want is something it's very difficult for us. We are trying to improve. In terms of search, I think you have the same experience as well. Yes, in terms of searches. I think there are 2 points here in terms of image searches. As I mentioned before, similarity is very difficult in terms of definition. Some slight difference of details, is that similar or not? Suppose you have this image search and the user. What is the expectation of this user? You have to know it. And as a service we are running, of course, you're looking only at the images. But we would like to know more intention about the users. And it should be very interesting for us to have that kind of technology to identify what the users really want. And when you have image services, image search, fortunately, some people say this image search is very easy to use. So why ZOZO Town doesn't have image search? There was one comment, and I was just wondering why. And I traced the comment, and I came to know that their expectation is different. You have this page of products, and you have similarity search. But what this person expects is, for example, they use a camera to take pictures and they search. Technologically, maybe we are doing the same, but they have their own images, and on the internet you have a lot of similar images. And when you look at those images on the magazines and so on, you like certain outfit, and you want to search for it. So in that sense, expectation of the users, well, even though the technology is different, the output should be difficult or different. Understand? Thank you very much. As I listen to you, I came to realize that, for example, you have this outfit, or there is a picture of an artist wearing this outfit, and you want the same outfit, and you search for that, and you want exactly the same thing searched. But those people who just want a new idea for the autumn coordination, and so this is the search function. So there is a great gap in between because the expectation is very different. And did you have that kind of experience? You are talking about a similar story. So that's the difficulty of image search. Yes. Similarity image search is something that's on the market right now. And internally, we had a person who said that you are showing the same images, but they are actually exactly the same outfit. For example, a different shop carries the same clothes, for example, and the pictures are different, but the products are the same. And that can make some people happy, for example, for out of the stock situation, and you can find the stock at the other store that can make you happy. But I think the expectation is different from many users. And you were talking about manga search. So when you have similarity image search, well, you can get the same images from the same authors. Or do you intentionally avoid that kind of situation by doing something? Yes. Manga, if the target is only manga, you know what the product is. So you can exclude exactly the same thing from the query. So that is not very difficult. Rather, when the users have favorite illustrations and they take pictures using their camera, and regardless of the artwork, the similarity hit can be possible. So in manga and in fashion, well, it's very subjective as something is similar or not. It's the same for the colors as well. So what's the right answer? You don't have the exact answer for that, probably. That is the difficulty. Thank you very much. So the next topic, please.
Okay, this is topic number 3. How do you collaborate with internal stakeholders in developing your services? Okay, so maybe the workings of your organization has to do with this question. So, Kose-san, do you have any answers to that? Well, at the beginning, I mentioned it was quite difficult at the beginning, but things are more organized these days. How should I put it? Model development is our core work, but when we release it, we have to work on infrastructure, and for learning, production model has to be updated regularly, and therefore we have to have the pipelines, and so we have the teams for that, and also PM might be necessary for a particular project. And so I think now the organizational structure is more ready to do such things. But where do we start, with a project? What's the beginning? Where does it occur initially? Well, there can be different approaches. Of course, the entire company might decide to work on a particular project, but relatively, when it comes to machine learning or AI, it's almost like magic in some people's mind. That's the image, at least. So what can we do with that? For non-professionals, it might be difficult to picture what is possible. And so we need to really proactively propose what is possible or what we think is possible. Prototyping, actually showing the things that can be done with this technology, making proposals, is what we have been doing in many cases, and I think we need to continue doing that. So for engineers, showing prototypes that really works or acts, but maybe this is not useful as services, but you need to still go physically to meet with potential partners and propose what you think is possible. Well, what's difficult in my mind is, of course, we're working along with the business, but for the people who are very much involved in the business, it might be quite difficult to be on the same page with them. Mr. Doi, what do you think about that aspect? Well, just like ZOZO, we have certain technologies to offer. We can, of course, make a presentation. We do that sometimes, but Yahoo Japan has so many different services, and so maybe people come to us asking us if something is possible. So there are internal services teams that we collaborate with, and more recently, I think we got more used to, in a way. There are some standard way of working that we have established. So when an idea is brought to us, and then we develop a prototype, something that actually can be physically seen and felt, and then we can try to adjust ourselves and be on the same page and correct if we had different understandings. And by having a look at the prototype together, then we can come up with new ideas as to potential services. I think that's the beauty of prototyping. So these days, we try to develop the prototype as soon as possible, and we're collaborating towards that goal. As I'm listening, I can really relate to that. Prototyping. Yes, developing the prototype is very, very important in my mind as well. Everybody is communicating with each other very hard. However, once you have the prototype, things go very smoothly. Yes, people act differently or respond differently when you have something tangible to see. Yes, PowerPoint slides, but rather than PowerPoint slides, you can just show what you might be able to do. You show something, and this will be advanced further in 2 months or 3 months' time. Computer vision lab offline, it is called a lab. However, there are true researchers to more engineering-oriented people, and I'm in between. I do both. So there are different types of people in the lab. And when there is a technical achievements, we want to make it into something tangible, a prototype. So same as you have explained. So this type of prototype using this technology, I think we can present it and be proactive. But as you mentioned, the business unit might, or the production department might come up with some proposal for improvements. So I think it's both ways. Us being proactive and also they coming with some ideas. And also another important thing is feedback. We have to respect feedback. Just developing a prototype, showing it, and if that's the end, you are just you're just satisfied, but it shouldn't be the end. Feedback is important. But of course, you sometimes fear negative feedback. Don't you think so? Well, feedback. Yes, a recent example. Well, I propose something that is technically possible, and I try many times proposing it, and the other person says this is interesting, but it doesn't really lead to the next action on the part of the user, was the response. So it didn't go forward. So you present many times, but then things will change over time. The iteration with the feedback, this iterative process being run many times is very important. Yes, that cycle is the key, I think, how to run that iterative cycle. Yes. After a release, we conduct a survey or questionnaire survey of the users, and I look at it periodically to identify some of the services that people are interested in, and I'm quite aware of that. Yes, sometimes you do your own search as to what the feedback of your products is out there. So there are different elements. So that's enough for topic 3. And moving on to topic 4, the question is, how do you approach multimodality these days? Multimodality. Excuse me. Well, if it's just about vision, or if it's just about language, you can limit yourself and resolve the issue within that framework, but that's no longer possible. In other words, you have the users or the customer having a problem, and then you cannot just propose a vision-based or language-based solution, but you have to have multiple modes to respond to or satisfy the needs of the users, the customers. I think their needs are more complicated. Of course, don't you think that language is also necessary as you engage in your work? Yes, we call ourselves the image processing team, but as I mentioned in the beginning, the advertisement image, OCR, text is included. In other words, language comes into play, and image alone. But rather than image alone, we often use language as well. So captions, the language or the letters are used as well. And there is an internal language processing team that we consult with. So we call ourselves vision processing, but we do both, vision as well as language. So we have this senses that both areas overlap. For example, AI development team, NLP, audio teams are right next to us. In other words, good merchandising or assortment is necessary. Otherwise, it would be quite difficult to cope with the day and age. NLP is one area you cover, but you cover a large area. What do you think? Well, deep learning, I think, came more from the vision part. But when I was engaged in language processing, there was this wave of deep learning. Well, that was the beginning of that wave, and I was away from a natural language and then machine learning, computer vision. I came back to that field, and I was really shocked of the development or the change that had happened. We're talking about multimodal or modality. So let's talk about that. ZOZO handles fashion items. Therefore, images are very important. And of course, natural language search is necessary. What's quite difficult in my mind recently is the text information attached to the merchandise. Is it enough? Maybe not enough information is attached. When you register the item, what sort of information should be registered together with the item? And what is the selling point? Of course, you would write that selling point, but what about for the users? Maybe this particular part of the item might be attractive for the user. And I think images are what can do that. And so text search and image search. I want to build a bridge or a link. We've been talking about similar image retrieval. You have to go to the site with the picture, otherwise you cannot use that image information for search. But the initial query to begin with, how do you arrive at that right image is the question. So I think search is very important, and so we have to build a bridge there. Is my awareness that I have recently, just vaguely though.
Yes, as I listen to you, I just noticed right now. Some time ago, we had vision team and language team, and their technologies were different. But nowadays, both of them are doing neural network and deep learning. So they have common things. You said you have to do language as well, but maybe you can do it simply. Yes, library and framework is there already. So for example, BERT, this is a model we can use. And to put text, it's not difficult. So it's not really difficult to try. We can do it. That's my impression. Yes, thank you. Multimodal sounds very difficult, but actually, more and more, there is an environment for you to start doing it. So there is more evolution, and I really hope that new talents are coming into this area as well. Yes, thank you very much. Now it's time. Very sorry, so we have to close this session very soon. I really hope we had more time. We would like to discuss more, but now it's time to close the session. So I would like to summarize the session. Once again, thank you very much for joining us here today. I was talking about OCR, and you were talking about searches. And it looks like a very good job, but we had a lot of struggles. We were talking about it. I was very interested in your stories as well. So vision and language, we were talking about it in the end. We can receive a lot of new entries. This is a very exciting area, and we still have a lot in the future. So please expect better for the future. So thank you very much for this panel discussion. Thank you for the panelists. Thank you.